All right, first an update, folks. A crisis at the southern border. President Biden reportedly ramping up migrant expulsions at the southern border using Title 42 to do so. This just days before that policy is set to expire because the administration wants it to, and despite the administration's strong support for phasing it out.
It gets so circular. All right, let's go to border correspondent Jason Jones now, live in Dilley, Texas. Jason.
Bob, Katrina, good afternoon. It's good to be with you this afternoon. You know, as we talk about the ending of Title 42 and what it's going to mean at the southwest border, I can tell you as somebody that has been down there week after week trying to illuminate the crimes of not just people crossing illegally into the country, but all of the other drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, money laundering, et cetera, that's taking place. I can tell you that when you talk to the migrants that are crossing right now, whether Title 42 ends or not, they are already backed up in the pipeline because everyone from the local alien smugglers to the Mexican cartels to the long haul smugglers all the way down to Colombia have already told everyone that if you want to come to the United States, now is your time. And you see that in the numbers. I mean, we already saw that the preliminary numbers for April now sit at over 210,000 apprehensions and over a million, and actually over 1.2 million in just the last 7 months. But we've also got some video I want to show you here. This is one of the most advanced cartel tactics you will see on the southwest border. And what it is where Cartel de Golfo, also known as CDG, it looks like a pursuit, but what they're trying to do is make their way back to the river to conduct what is known as a splashdown. That's where usually the vehicle is stolen from the U.S. side. It's backed up to the river. Cartel members who crossed into the U.S. with thousands of pounds of drugs load the vehicle up with. They try to make it to a stash house, but somewhere in there, law enforcement interdicts that vehicle. They then turn around and go to pre-designated points where they're talking real time to communications with cartel members on the Mexico side, and they coordinate where that vehicle is going to run back to before it splashes down into the Rio Grande River. Now, these tactics are nothing new, but we were able to stop these. You know, I saw they really began in the southern part of Texas in 2008 and 2009. But when you see this tactic like this, what you need to know is this. The only reason this cartel can conduct this is when the border is wide open, when we do not have operational control, because they use not only drones to watch for law enforcement, but also what is known as the Halcon network. Those are people who are lookouts on the U.S. side and the Mexico side. And when they have a big enough gap, that's when they try to move these drugs. And usually when they conduct very advanced tactics like this, these drug loads belong to a cartel boss, which they cannot lose or they'll lose their life. So it just depends on whose load it is. But I want to stress, when you see this level of violence occurring on our side and then trying to make it back to the Mexico side by splashing down into the river, this is one of the most violent tactics that happens down there and coordinated by those cartels on the Mexico side and our side.
Jason, have you been involved when you were working along the border? Were you involved in those chases? And are there more of them now, more coming across?
There's not, Bob. You know, we shut this down during Operation Secure Texas. When you may remember when under the Obama administration in 2014, we had the major surge of unaccompanied alien children. We saw these things everywhere. And that's why the state really spent a lot of money on both boats on the water, but also aircraft, because the cartel will tell you they cannot operate when those aircraft are in the air. And we worked very closely with the Mexican government to try to shut these things down. And we absolutely did. So for me to see this video and to see this tactic come back, you need to know that immediately that is a direct result of not working with the Mexican government, not shutting these cartels down and not going after them. I've been involved in many of these things, and they're extremely, extremely dangerous. Bob, a lot of times the cartel member driving the vehicle will actually wear a life vest. And that used to be one of the clues we would teach our troopers what to look for. If you saw a guy driving in South Texas in a pickup truck wearing a life vest, that might be included. It's a drug load, because when they go down, they can knock themselves out. And a lot of times the cartel will come in with multiple rafts and literally pull them out of the water if they're knocked out, and the bundles of drugs will float. So they just take the drugs right out of the water, put them in the boats, and back to Mexico they go.